Tell us a little bit about what you saw and being able to relay that message to Cora when you watched Kimbrel pitch and kind of help out so he wasn't tipping his pitches.
So tipping pitches, we hear about it all the time.
People at home understand what tipping pitches is all about.
It's amazing.
And that's remarkable.
Wow, history is being made.
What was that?
History is being
What
made,
just happened?
Alex. History is being made.
I'm a little thrown off, I'm not going to lie.
Why are you thrown off? You don't ever hear the intro when we do the podcast.
Well,
as far as I'm concerned, you don't know what the intro is.
Hey, look, I was trying to play in to the bit. Continuity, as if we're sitting in the room with the listeners.
We're not? All the listeners are in this room right now.
Yeah, where are you?
Based on these download numbers for the last month. New intro. First time in Tipping Pitches history, we are not being played on by Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs.
Yeah.
Thanks to Green Onions, legendary run. Don't know if you knew about it, but R.I.P. Booker T.
Weird. I don't know how to move forward.
No,
here.
I do. I feel good.
Okay.
I feel good.
All right.
Well, thankfully, I know how to move forward. Listen, when you lose the way, we're like two sets of footprints in the sand. You know, I'll lift you and I'll carry you the right direction. I've already lost the bit.
Right. These are my 40 days and nights.
Stop faking like you don't know more Bible things. You know so much about the Bible, and you play it off like you're just some.
I think as you dug beneath the surface, you would realize very quickly how little I know.
Start naming some top 5 Bible bros. Go.
Bible bros?
Yeah. Cain, Abel. How would you order them, though? Because one killed the other.
Right. That's true. And the one who killed the other.
You know that one, and the listeners at home know. Right?
Yeah.
So we don't even need to.
We don't even need to mention it.
Exactly.
Because we all know. It's been talked about.
No, okay, wait. We're 45 seconds in, and we're supposed to be talking about our new intro, and we're already talking about brothers in the Bible. That's the new Tipping Pitches intro music.
Mm-hmm.
Written and performed by Steven Sladkowski, guitarist for Pup, the band. Steve is a friend of the show. He has been on multiple times to talk about his floundering Blue Jays. I'm sorry, Steve, but we all have our crosses to bear when it comes to the baseball world.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm a fucking professional. I've been doing this for 7 years. And finally got a new intro. You know, I'm feeling good. Feeling like a pro.
These are the first 7 years of this podcast were like our 3 days on the cross. It's 3 days, right?
The third day he rises. So
okay.
It's more like right. two and change.
2.5.
2 1/3.
And now we're back. We've risen.
So every 7 years we need to get new music.
Mm-hmm.
We need to befriend another member of one of our favorite bands, and 7 years from now they can write us a different song.
Well, I suppose it depends on which version of Tipping Pitches you follow, right? Because there's the version in which the intro has never changed at all, right? The new intro has not come yet, but this is the version where the new intro is
this an elaborate Bible joke?
Already walking among us.
That was a Judaism joke. Nicely done. That was very good. Man, I love this new song. I love this intro music. I hope everybody at home loves it as well. We went to Steve and we said, "Hey, Steve, here's the song that we have now.
Mm-hmm.
You could have some fun and make us a song that's kind of like in the same vibe." And then Steve, a professional musician who's very good at what he does, did that.
Yeah.
So we love it. Thanks so much to Steve. And I had a whole cold open about LeBron James, but we're gonna save that for after the intro. We have a fun podcast coming up about a couple of real baseball topics.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if you know this, but Aaron Judge, he's gonna hit a bunch of home runs this year. He's already hit a bunch of home runs this year, and he's gonna hit some more. And another guy who's hit some home runs this year is Shohei Ohtani. We're gonna talk about both of those gentlemen, and then we're gonna do I feel a very on-brand thing, which is we're going to make fun of the way other people talk about the sport by doing a draft of the most annoying discourses that crop up every single season. But before we get to all of that, I am Bobby White.
I am Alex Baisley.
And you're listening to Tipping Pitches.
Bobby, our long national nightmare of worrying about getting sued for copyright infringement is over. I just want to say that.
Don't say copyright infringement. You know that this podcast is being transcribed by AI tools all over, far and wide. I guess. But what would they have to say about copyright infringement? They're the OG copyright infringement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, true. Keen listeners may have noticed over the last couple of months, not as many musical transitions of cool songs that are out in the ether these days, new music being released. That's because of the law. And we were clinging so ever so tightly to Green Onions because it just so perfectly fit our vibe. And
right. I mean, it was
to be associated with the show for people who listen.
Right. It was kind of like eminent domain over the song. You know, we were like,
that is how eminent domain works.
This is just ours now, right?
We're the government.
Uh-huh.
And that's how eminent domain works.
Yeah.
It's funny that worked out that way because we just straight stole that vibe from the Sandlot. People would be like, how'd you come up with Green Onions? You'd be like, we were sitting around
You're right.
in our apartment senior year. It was 3:23 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, yeah, I kind of think like the vibe of the show, you know, it should feel like that scene in The Sandlot when like the other team comes in and what's that song that's playing?
Mm-hmm. And we're like, we'll just use it.
That's ours now. We seized the means.
Typical socialists.
Typical socialists not compensating artists for their artistic product. Anyway, Steve wrote us a new song. Thanks, Steve. Great song. It's also going to be, as you just heard, listener, our bumper music as well on our formal intro. You know, going back and finding the announcer clips from the intro songs, it was a fun exercise for me because I got to go back and see at which points in the history of the podcast I decided this doesn't sound good anymore. I need to make it sound better. Because the original intro was just like ripped from some third party.
Right. We went to youtube-mp3.org or something like that.
Yeah. And it sounds so bad. There's like so much feedback and like static in the recording. And then I went back and I literally remastered it. Like I was like Fleetwood Mac.
Should we drop that version? Can we release it on Spotify?
I can find it easily. Re-releasing it like it was fucking Rumors, you know, the 30th anniversary edition. And I also got to go back and find the exact moment that I pulled in the A-Rod outro. And by pulled in, I mean the exact moment that he emailed us that MP3 file of him saying how much he loves the show.
Right. It was like, why are you not including me on this?
Yeah, exactly. Read the outro of your show. I have something for you. So it was a fun little journey back through the various chapters of this podcast, the various iterations. But for now and the foreseeable future, we have some real original composed music. See, I feel like we got the call to the show.
Mm-hmm, I know.
Feel so professional now. No more of this ragtag little pulling in Green Onions.
Right. It definitely changes the way I approach the podcast.
Right. Which is why you came into this week's episode with a lot of ideas for what we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
And like as soon as we woke up this morning, we're in Pennsylvania at my sister's house because we went to a concert in the great city of Philadelphia, the only city in the United States of America, listeners, the center of the cultural universe, the only place that any band could ever possibly be from, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You woke up this morning after that 8-hour concert that we were at yesterday.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm ready to go. Took no time.
Sprung out of bed.
Certainly did not take 3 hours and 15 minutes of planning over breakfast to figure out what the fuck to do for this episode. Do you want to hear what my original cold open was going to be?
Yes, I do.
All right. So listeners at home are aware of the fact, and you are aware of the fact, that one of the items on the Tipping Pitches 2024 bingo card is LeBron James tweeting about Shohei Ohtani in any capacity. And I gotta say, I felt so good about this one at the beginning of the season. I was like, he's a Dodger now. LeBron's, his found home is Los Angeles. He game recognized game, I was really expecting to get like a quote tweet of an Ohtani highlight being like, look at the young king holding it down on the diamond, doing his thing for LA. We love to have him here. And then like 8 fire emojis And I got a push notification from LeBron James because I turned on push notifications.
Of course.
Because I'm a journalist. I got a push notification for a tweet that he sent 17 minutes before we started recording this podcast.
And victory?
Here's what he tweeted. Other than that, I love the game at EA Madden NFL. Salute emoji, period. Fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji.
Wait, a period between
Between
Okay.
the salute emoji and the fire emoji.
Was this
we
like
got to keep the fire away from this. We don't want to set the man saluting on fire. Have some respect for the troops. Other than that, there's no reference back
Okay,
to
I
that.
was wondering if this was a reply to something.
First reply says, other than what, you getting old, bruh. Tweeting like a grandpa. Other than that, I love the game.
That, I mean,
It's 9 a.m. for him. Other than what?
I do feel like that's kind of the energy with which we approach this podcast.
Yeah.
Just other than that, broad strokes, hand waving at everything. Other than all that, we love this game.
So he still hasn't tweeted about Ohtani. How would you benchmark it now for the rest of the year? Like, do you think it's greater than or less than 50%? New York Times needle this from me.
Right. I think Dodgers in first place. They're going to make the playoffs. That still feels like...
Wow, we got a Padres hater on the line.
Just wait. That still feels like the best scenario. The scenario under which it is most likely to happen, right? Is that Shohei
Dodgers
Ohtani,
in the playoffs.
Dodgers in the playoffs. Shohei Ohtani has a crazy night at the plate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a night that pushes another team to the brink of elimination or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a little worried.
But he'll be at a Dodgers playoff game.
Right.
Because he's been photographed at Dodgers playoff games since becoming a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. That's the NBA, one of the NBA teams in Los Angeles for you and for the listeners, just in case you were wondering.
Yeah. That's the only one, right?
Kinda. I mean, yeah. Ballmer the God is moving. He's moving the Clippers to Inglewood. This is actually somewhat relevant to Tipping Pitches listeners.
Hell yeah.
And he's opening like a quote unquote state of the art new stadium. A lot of teams moving to Inglewood recently because it's cheaper to buy a lot of land than in other parts of the greater Los Angeles area. Take that for what you will.
Sorry, can I also just say, you don't all get to build state-of-the-art new stadiums.
Yeah.
Not every new stadium is...
This is like the new market price for a starting pitcher. You know, it's just to go 1 million higher than Garrett Cole.
Uh-huh.
But Ballmer's thing is supposedly actually going to be different. Yeah. I mean, this is the Microsoft guy, and you love Microsoft.
I do.
We spent a long time at the movie theater 2 weeks ago talking about how much you stan Microsoft.
And also how much they frustrate me.
It's the yin and the yang, dog.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically like Major League Baseball.
I like having 2 Microsoft Teams apps on my computer. I'll do this. I will do it right now. I will derail this whole pod to talk about why I have Microsoft Teams work and school.
It's right there in the name. You use one for work and one for school.
No, to be clear, there's Microsoft Teams, and then there's Microsoft Teams, parentheses, work and school.
Now I'm really confused.
Okay.
Now I'm really confused. Should we migrate the Tipping Pitches Slack over to Microsoft Teams?
Yeah.
People are already fucking mad at us for it not being a Discord.
Yeah.
And to that I say, reach out to the Discord developers and have them develop something that doesn't melt my brain out of my ears.
Yeah.
By the way, I forgot to say thanks to the new patrons this week. Those new patrons we're doing it live, but I forgot to tell you this. I'm not going to edit this podcast at all. I'm just posting it live.
That's fine.
New patrons this week. Thank you to Sam.
No way. Another one? Are you serious?
Another one.
3 straight weeks?
I think that someone's creating a bot farm of people who are signing up for our Patreon.
Yeah. The Sams are a false flag.
Those checks clear, dog. Those checks clear. Sams are a false flag. Episode title?
Much love to all our Sams.
Greater than or less than 50% chance LeBron tweets about Ohtani. And did we decide when the cutoff date is? Is it just like the end of the season, like World Series elimination game? That's when the Tippy Pitches bingo card is kaput.
Right. I mean, like,
because if we get a fucking Pete Ricketts finance scandal on November 3rd, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be really mad.
I know. Okay. That feels like it still counts.
Okay, fine.
Um,
It's flexible.
I still feel like we're just over the 50% mark.
Okay.
Like again, I don't want to give anyone flashbacks, but like I feel like we're still in a good spot. We're still holding strong.
Somewhat likely.
I'm still with him.
You're wearing an "I'm Still With Her" shirt right now as we sit here to record this podcast.
Well, that's what I thought was going to happen at the DNC.
And you put a little sticker of Kamala's face next to it so that it could be multi-purpose. Should we actually scrap the whole Steve Sledkowski original composition and just go see if we can license Fight Song for our intro?
Yep.
I love that you knew where I was going with that.
Yes, absolutely. If they win the World Series, it feels like a shoo-in.
No. Well, now we're putting winning the World Series on them?
Well, I mean, what does
Fangraph say about that? There's like an 8% chance. That's not very good.
Right. Well, that's not the only path.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah. What if Shohei Ohtani attends a Lakers game and LeBron posts a photo? Does that count? That counts.
When is Ohtani going to attend a Lakers game? The Dodgers play like 6 times a week,
after the season's over. Again, this is why the cutoff matters.
Oh, okay. So flexible cutoff.
Well, I don't know. Is this a calendar year thing?
We did say 2024.
Right.
24 things to preview the 2024 season.
Was it really 24? Wow.
Yeah, it's a bingo card, dog. 5x5, 1 free space, 24. I don't know what we're going to do next year. And 2 years from now, fucking forget about it. This idea is so over. Hang on, before we continue talking about Ohtani and the fact that he is a 40-40 season in August.
Yeah.
August. There's a whole other month.
Yep. And also a week left of August.
I do want to take this moment to take a moment of accountability. Yesterday, at the music festival that we were at, Alex and I placed a wager with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Live betting odds. We set an over-under for how many beanies we would see people wearing.
Yeah.
Now, it was August in Philadelphia. The concert was indoors, but it was like partially like an indoor-outdoor thing. We set the line at 7.5 beanies.
Mm-hmm. Which you thought was low. I said it, and you were like, oh, easy.
I thought we were going to clear it easy.
Mm-hmm.
Clocked in at 6 beanies.
Yep.
The times they are changing, brother. I think I saw at least 17 bucket hats.
Yeah.
At least 17 bucket hats. And I just got to say, return. A fucking punk music festival is not a place for a bucket hat.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just saying that because I can't pull off a bucket hat. And if I could pull off a bucket hat, I would not have such a strong opinion. 17 bucket hats, 150 crossbody bags, including 2 on you and me.
Right. Each.
Crisscross, like the Jedi who have multiple lightsabers. Like Rambo with the bullets. And so I guess I owe you something. This is just an accountability check. I just wanted to tell the listeners that I lost a bet to you.
Yes.
And that we're not above betting in our day-to-day lives.
No. Well, you clearly aren't, right? You spent a whole night in
a casino. Winning money.
Yeah.
Winning money. Assets, not liabilities. Slot machines are assets, not liabilities.
Can I just say also, for full transparency, I'm using some of that language in my marketing at work now.
Assets and liabilities?
Turn your liability into an asset, brother.
Did you really write that at work?
Absolutely.
Holy shit. You're such a legend. Such a legend.
I'm like, no one else is going to get this.
Several people who you work with are actively subscribed to our podcast. You've witnessed them. You've had the horrifying moment of saying the name of the podcast, them going to their podcast app, searching it, subscribing to it.
Well, so here's the thing is when A-Rod's right, he's right.
I agree. This is why Jose Canseco's crusade against A-Rod, I was like, get off your high horse, sir.
Yeah, the bit's over.
You weren't exactly clean either. Okay?
Yeah, what do your investments look like, huh?
Yeah, come talk to me when you have a couple more apartment complexes in the old portfolio.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Do you want to talk about Ohtani going 40-40?
Yeah.
This makes him the 8th player?
6th.
6th player.
Yeah.
Really? There was only 4 before last year. So it's Acuna who did it last year.
So we have Acuna last year. Alfonso Soriano,
of course.
Alex Rodriguez,
Of course.
Barry Bonds,
He's pretty good.
and can you guess the last one?
I feel like we just did this last year.
Okay, given the context of the last 5 seconds of our conversation.
Jose Canseco.
Yep.
Fuck. Time is a flat circle. Main reason I want to talk about this is because at what point do we have to admit that he's the greatest baseball player ever? And have we already passed it? It's hard to judge these things in real time, but like this is a man who pitches.
Yeah.
He's a pitcher. And then he's recovering from Tommy John surgery, which is nothing to sneeze at. It took Bryce Harper basically half a season in his post Tommy John season to really start to look like Bryce Harper again. And then he was sort of like back to full health by October of last year. But he was bad and his power was gone.
Yeah.
Ohtani's power,
Decidedly not gone.
it's there.
It's not like he's not using the UCL at all.
He hit the furthest home run this year. He's hit the most home runs other than Aaron Judge this year. And he's recovering from UCL surgery.
And also he just steals bases now. Like I know he did before. He
I know.
knew how to steal bases.
Well, so like 3 weeks ago, seemingly when he was at 30-30, I was like, okay, well, he's definitely going to get to 40 home runs. But like, will they continue to let him run?
Mhm.
And then I looked up and he was just like, I crossed 40 steals first.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, one more home run. And then he does it with a walk-off grand slam.
Yeah, come on.
It's starting to be a little on the nose.
Come on. I do think we're kind of at the point where, again, I mean, you have to distinguish between like, okay, greatest career versus like most talented player. I think
well, he's not going to have the greatest career.
He's not going to have the greatest career, but I think he's kind of without a doubt the most talented baseball player I have ever witnessed in terms of the breadth of his skills, the ability to like, again, he knew how to steal bases before, but this season he was like, well, I'm not pitching, so I have something to do with my spare time. I'm going to work on getting better jumps.
He's like T2. Like he just sees someone else have a skill and he's like, I have that skill now.
Yes. All right.
Him being on the Dodgers, surrounded by other, 0.1 percentile talent players at different skills is such an interesting thing to watch unfold because it's still unclear why he went to the Angels in the first place. And I would mark that era of his career largely a success. They allowed him to develop a discipline and a practice, or to continue the discipline and the practice and prove it at the major league level that other organizations probably wouldn't have allowed him to do that. So all of the issues aside, not making it to the playoffs, the dysfunction of that franchise, I do think that was, for him individually, a successful chapter of his career. But it is, and I hate to make the obvious talk radio point, it is somewhat refreshing to see him surrounded by, like on the biggest stage in the game, surrounded by other stars and interacting with them.
I should note, fastest player to 40-40 also. No one did it in fewer games than him.
Yeah.
50-50, not actually out of the question.
Not by any stretch.
No.
I mean, he could steal like 10 bases in a series. Not actually, but you know what I mean.
I just
it would take a lot from the
yes, it would.
hitting side for him to hit 50 home runs.
Mhm.
He would have to go on quite a tear. He's at 41.
Right. First player to 45-45 doesn't sound as nice as 50-50, but that's within reach.
I mean, I think another thing with Acuna last year was like, it wasn't just 40-40, it was 40-80,
Right.
which is like, okay.
Yeah. All right.
Different. Slightly different. What Acuna did was impressive.
Yes.
I am on the record repeatedly as saying I'm not sure why it just immediately granted him the unanimous MVP. But I guess it was more so the unanimous tie-breaking MVP vote.
Right.
Versus a really good Mookie season to great Mookie season. We've come so far in just not pointing at counting stats and saying this player win this award. And yet it seems like we did last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be tighter this year, though. I think the race, if the season ended today, I do not think Ohtani would win MVP unanimously. I think it would maybe be 60-40 in his favor over Lindor, who I think is running in second.
Yeah.
And who I think has a good case, but it's a harder case to make. It's almost like we were talking about with Votto last week, where the case to Hall of Fame voters is such a run value based one. Whereas like the case with Ohtani is like, hey man, did you see that home run that he hit out of Dodger Stadium?
Yeah.
And he's a pitcher who went 40-40. The sixth player in baseball history to do that. It's Francisco Lindor is having a great season, but he's not having a 1 of 6 anything season in baseball history.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I just find myself continually feeling very lucky that we have Shohei Ohtani, especially because I think I found myself being kind of worried in the beginning of his career, right? Angels stuff aside, where he's playing aside, it was this idea of like, is he actually going to be able to stay healthy? Is he going to have to just make a shift to one of these, pick a role to play full time?
Yeah.
Obviously, he missed some time with injuries. He has had his struggles at the plate where it's like he's striking out like 35% of the time. Is it actually sustainable? Is he going to be able to make enough contact for this? And then he's like, no, I was having an off week. I am still that dude. And he's 30 now. It's not lost on me that
it's wild that he's 30.
Yeah.
Well, partially because he just got here. It feels like he just got here, but it was 7 years ago, basically. And he looks like 24,
Yes, yeah.
he's not wearing that age at all. I look 15 years older than him. And I'm 2 years younger than him. I'm glad that you mentioned that about the struggles earlier in the career and the conversations earlier in the career. And maybe this relates a little bit to like the discourse draft that we're going to do in just a few minutes. But I am so glad that we didn't pick one or the other. That the mounting pressure for him to be a pitcher or a hitter / outfielder did not win out. Because you know what? It fluctuated a lot as to which side was in the lead. I at first was like, do you see this guy on the mound? Like, he is insane. He is so valuable. He has to just be a pitcher.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, if I was forced to choose, Tommy John aside, second Tommy John aside, which is a huge thing to set aside. It wouldn't even be close.
How
do you
choose not be like, yes, I want him in my 3 spot every single day?
I mean, it would not even be close, like remotely close. And a lot of that has to do with macro changes to the way that the game's value has been balanced in the last few years with all of the pitcher injuries and the proliferation of bullpens and the way that the Dodgers in particular can get outs from a player like James Paxton, who is like 8 teams removed from his best seasons, and then be confident enough to DFA a player like that. You just don't need starting pitcher Ohtani as much as you need 10 WAR outfielder Ohtani. I mean, the floor for him as an outfielder at this point, the way that he hits, is like 6 WAR.
Yeah.
So like top 5 season every year.
I mean, he's having like a 6.5 WAR season so far, just DHing.
He hasn't played the field,
which to be fair, I think is low and maybe should force us to talk about. We're not going to talk about valuing DH. This is not a WAR conversation, but like it does give you a sense of like, okay, that's how good he is, taking into account his offensive output and removing some of that value, dinging him a little bit.
Yeah. I don't think we should talk about WAR for DHs in comparison to WAR for fielders. But I also don't think we should talk about something like WRC plus for DHs in comparison to people who also have to play the field. I think it should be, you should decide for yourself how much of that pie chart you assign to either of those things. And
so individualized WAR for each player.
No. I just think that like, much like you should not just look at 2 pitchers and say this pitcher's FIP is lower than this other pitcher's FIP and say that they're better. You should not look at 2 players' WAR, particularly one of whom is a DH, and say X player is better.
I mean, yes, this just goes back to like statistical
and nobody
literacy.
And nobody who tweaks those formulas, nobody who cares about those things would say that you should do that either.
Right. But it's a lot easier to say one number bigger than other.
Okay, let's slow this down because I'm going to talk about this in just a few minutes.
All right.
Okay, speaking of WAR, the actual WAR leader in Major League Baseball right now, his name is Aaron Judge. And he's pretty much the WAR leader like every year. If he plays enough games, he's going to lead the league in home runs and WAR. Have you been seeing, a lot of people recently have been posting things like, this is the best hitter I've ever seen, or this is the best hitter of our lifetimes, or if you're not watching Aaron Judge right now, you're missing out on the best hitter you will ever see live. And not a whole lot going on right now to refute that, frankly.
Yeah.
I do think that we forget a little bit how good both Alex Rodriguez and Barry Bonds were. And we might even forget how good peak Albert Pujols was in like 2010 and 11. All that being said, he legitimately looks like he's playing in a little league park. And I am stunned at the way that his career has turned out. From when they called him up, from the type of prospect that he was, from the like kinetic chain that it takes for him to be able to get the bat on the ball with high velocity, like up and in at his hands. It's honestly a 1 in a billion outcome for a player who looks like that and has that set of skills to be this good. And he just is this good. It's like copy and paste 53 home runs every year.
Mm-hmm.
Every year. He missed like the first month of the season this year, and he's still on pace to hit 62 home runs. I mean, I'm not going to start a juice ball discourse. I'm not. But like, statistically speaking, I don't even know how some of this stuff is possible with him.
Maybe this feels weird to say, but he is the kind of player that I almost feel like what could have been with him. Not what could have been, because he's one of the greatest players in the game right now. But he's dealt with his share of injuries and has had very few actual full seasons.
Yeah.
He has one double-digit WAR season.
Yeah.
The one in which he hit 62 home runs. He's probably going to hit that mark again this year. But he is a good enough player to have
like five.
Like 5 of those, yeah.
That's just remarkable that like...
And he was kind of called up late too, right? He didn't make the majors until he was 24.
I thought he was even older than that.
Well, he was called up when he was 24, and then like
his 25-year-old season was like his first full season.
Like exactly. Which, again, he had 52 home runs.
That's what I mean. Like, what? It's just so... It's always, I think, so informative to think about the scouting report on a player like Aaron Judge. Or, O'Neal Cruz or Ellie De La Cruz. Like, these just athletic freaks who have no precedent for their size and their speed and their combination of talents. That the error bars on a player like that, like, he was not a top prospect.
Yeah.
He was not even like the Yankees top 5 prospects when they called him up. And now nobody who knew about Yankees prospects would tell you that like it wasn't possible, because the exit velocity and the bat speed and the strength and the raw power, whether it was translating in the minors to game power or not, like, this was a potential outcome. It was like 1% of the potential outcomes.
Yeah.
And it's just, now it feels so sure. I mean, he's an amazing player. It's really a testament. Like, I can't find anything to dislike about him. Like, nothing.
No.
Though I try. Every day I wake up and I brew my coffee, and as it's coming through the portafilter of the espresso machine, I think, is this the day where I find something that I can be a hater on Aaron Judge about?
The answer is never yes.
No, the answer is no. The closest thing that you can think to it is like all these jokes about how like he mashes in low leverage and then in high leverage, which is like the sample size is not even close to high enough for that to matter. But it's funny, so we get jokes off.
But I know that everyone loves to hear about other people's fantasy baseball teams. And I would just never get over picking him up when he was called up, because I was like, this guy's got power. And then at the end of the season,
hour.
And then at the end of the season, this is in my keeper league, I was like, this guy's cooked.
What?
All the
after the 24-year-old season,
40 games or whatever that he played, where he came up.
He was no Gary Sanchez.
He hit 180, and I was like, it's over for him. Cut him loose.
Oh, that's a bad beat.
It's fine. I'm clearly over it.
Was this in your league with the random truckers?
Yes. Yeah. But actually, both of them have relatively random truckers.
Still my favorite thing about you. Not our years and years and years, almost a decade of friendship. Not your massive capacity for warmth and empathy.
Just that I'm in a league.
Not your humor.
I'm in a league with a dude named Brian from North Carolina.
Are they actually truckers? In my head, some of them are long haul truckers. They stop at rest stops to update their rosters, and that you just have to get there first.
Yes.
If you want to pick up Jesus Luzardo or whatever.
I do believe at least one member of one of the leagues was at one point. There was a like, can this person make a draft? No, I think he's like driving his truck tonight across state lines. And then that stuck.
You sounded like you were doing congressional hearings right there. I do believe at least one member in at least one of the leagues,
right, has crossed
at one
state
moment
lines.
or another, has potentially crossed from one state to another, notwithstanding any future or past endeavors.
That's good. If
Fuck,
it
that's
may
so
please
funny.
the court.
Objections.
Hey, we're back.
I don't know. I mean, I know we don't usually do kind of like your standard fare. This is what's going on in the last week of baseball stuff.
But like this is for all the people who are like, do you guys even like baseball? It's like we gotta throw them some bait every.
Do you guys
every
even
so
like
often.
baseball? Yeah. You heard about Aaron Judge
Yeah.
and Shohei Ohtani?
This is our proof.
What next? You're going to tell me that you're interested in Bobby Witt Jr. as a player?
Yeah, no. I'm out on him.
All right. It's time to do something that's a little bit more in tipping pitches focus. Wait, should we pause and throw to a little bumper music
Just
now
do
that we
it.
legally
Do it.
can?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck it.
Do it between every conversation we have.
When are we going to get the soundboard? When are we getting that?
I'll open up Amazon right now.
Amazon?
Sorry, Temu.
Canceled. Fiverr.
Fiverr? Are we going to get
Oh,
someone
no,
to
wait.
build us a soundboard?
No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. What's the... Oh, Alibaba.
Oh, yeah.
Josiah, the Alibaba guy.
That's where I get my fake jerseys.
From Alibaba?
No, actually, it's DHgate.
Well, DHgate is goated.
Yeah.
More like DH goat. I am just gonna I'm gonna buy the soundboard.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it. I think it's so worth it.
I think so too. Just like the whiteboard and the neon sign that we got for the office, we're gonna get a lot of mileage out of it.
We'll get way more mileage than the whiteboard.
This is actually the first, well, not the first, but
one of the first unnecessary purchases that will actually make itself known in the podcast.
Exactly. Yes.
The neon sign, we were just like, guys, you can't see it, but we can.
But
it's
you can
creating
feel
an
it. You
aura.
can feel the heat.
It's creating an aura. It's not putting off heat. It's LED.
Wow.
Heat. Quotation marks.
Yeah.
Feel the juice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're doing a discourse draft. This draft consists of us drafting, going back and forth, and drafting the most fucking annoying discourses that happen every single baseball season. No holds barred. There's no way to avoid them. The more you try to avoid them, the longer they happen. So we're just gonna popcorn back and forth real quick. This is not like a full episode. Like, this is just something we were sitting around this morning and we were like, what can we do? What can we talk about?
I want to be very clear. This is entirely different from the banned topics draft. Completely different concept where we
you're pulling the curtain back too much.
Because these are topics that we likely will have to discuss in some capacity or another. We just unavoidable. All of these are on my list for next week's pod. I just want to say.
What you're doing right now, like imagine if when David Lynch directed Lost Highway, he was like, it opened with a title card that was like, this is nothing like Mulholland Drive in any way. There's no thematic resonance with Blue Velvet, I swear.
I would respect him. I'd respect him for it.
That's how I think of what we're doing here.
Yes.
Artistically on the level of 5-star
David Lynch,
masterpieces that David Lynch has made throughout his career. Anyway.
This is Steve gave us our Twin Peaks theme.
All right, you go first.
All right. Let's start easy. All-Star snub talk. To be quite honest, and this is speaking from someone whose team sends players via the rule they made to make sure everyone got represented. But I don't.
Why didn't you want to talk to me about JJ Bleday yesterday? You had such a strong reaction to that. I was like, I didn't know JJ Bleday was going to hit such a nerve.
Well, it's just like, sure. Do you want me to talk about how enjoyable he'll be for the next month? Like, I don't know what to do with this. Do I get excited about JJ Bleday? Is that worth investing in?
If a JJ Bleday hits a home run in Oakland, but the team's moving to Sacramento next year, does anyone hear it? Okay, back to All-Star snub talk.
Look, maybe this is a hot take. I don't really care who makes the All-Star game.
The A's deserved 2 All-Stars this year. Mason Miller and fucking Brent Rooker should have been an All-Star.
Yeah, that's probably true.
He was snubbed.
And yet, you don't see me fucking whining about it.
I'm trying to trick you into doing the thing that you're saying that you hate.
Look, I'm sorry we live in a democracy. You think your players should have gotten more votes? Why weren't you out there door knocking?
All-Star snub.
Why were you not canvassing?
All-Star snub discourse is evidence of the fact that we're not fucking ready for socialism.
Yeah.
We're not.
So I think
if you can't put aside the fact that Anthony Volpe's not on the All-Star team, sir, you're not ready for a gradual tax on the rich.
Right. If you can't handle me at my Volpe All-Star,
you don't get me at my wealth tax.
You don't deserve me at my bleep.
Who else is doing it like this? No one's doing it like this.
Now, could we institute some more guardrails? Sure. Maybe an all-star electoral college.
Please. God, please.
Look, I know Gunnar Henderson got a lot of the vote, but Kansas City maybe deserves an outsized share.
Bobby Witt made the All-Star team. Oh, All-Star starter.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that I could not give a fuck about. I don't care. Okay. 1 year, Sean Green won the All-Star vote, the fan vote, to start in right field ahead of, I don't even know who was playing. This is the thing. I was so fucking mad about it. I don't even remember who was playing right field for the Mets, who Sean Green got voted in to play over. I think it was probably Xavier Nady.
Right.
And I was smashing that vote button. I was like, I'm doing my part. Civil.
Mm-hmm.
This is civil participation. Right
Yeah.
Creating fake email addresses. Voting for Xavier Nady to start the All-Star.
And bot farms out of Russia. I think
I actually founded Cambridge Analytica to get Xavier Nady to start the All-Star game.
You had no idea what it would become.
It got way out of control. I'm so sorry.
I think we should have All-Star primaries. Like the person who made the All-Star team last year
is the incumbent. This is fucking brilliant.
And you have to run against them.
I love this idea. This is great.
All right, cool. We fixed the All-Star game.
Once I figure out how to email Rob Manfred, I'll let him know that you have this idea. Okay.
Once the email stops bouncing. All right, what's your first discourse?
The first discourse that I would like to draft is it sucks every year when we have to talk about Yankee Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Like in every way. Be like, oh, short porch doesn't count. Oh, Yankee Stadium. Look, fans aren't showing up when the team loses 3 games in a row. Oh, Giancarlo Stanton, the guy who's been striking out 34% of the time for his whole career, including when he does hit 57 home runs in a season and win MVP, is striking out again, and they're booing him, and we have to talk about whether or not that's fair, and there has to be a bunch of people who are weighing in, being like, actually, he should be honored to be booed because it means that we care. I just don't want to do it anymore. I just don't,
Yeah.
Yankee Stadium, we need to take it. We need to airlift it out of the United States, and we need to put it in international waters so that I no longer have to feel like I am obligated to weigh in on things that are happening there.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take.
My lukewarm take that I think Yankee Stadium is a decent place to experience a baseball game.
Shit ass take. I hate that.
That's fine. But it does feel like, it dovetails with the kind of like, can he make it in New York? Can he make it under the bright lights of the Big Apple?
Can you sing a little Sinatra for me? If I can make it there, I'll make it
in New York. Concrete jungle.
They just gave you a Grammy for that mashup. That was sick.
I'm here for it. We no longer no, actually, because these are not band topics, we can still talk about these things. But
these are sort of like germinating seeds of the band topic.
Right.
We're going to have to ruminate on it a little bit more.
Yeah. This is our scouting for next year.
This is the pipeline, MLB Pipeline 100 for band topics next year.
Do you have anything more on Yankee Stadium? Are you throwing it back to me?
You're up, Chief.
Great.
Concrete jungle. I feel like Jay-Z has stolen a lot of the valor of that song when it's like straight up written by Alicia Keys.
Yes, that is an Alicia Keys song.
It was like released as an Alicia Keys song before Jay-Z.
Yes.
That's how I feel about Linkin Park's catalog as well. Jay-Z's stolen a lot of the valor. Equally important artists to the culture, Jay-Z and Linkin Park. R.I.P. to Chester, bro.
You're right about that.
R.I.P. to Chester.
You
You want to do a little Chester scream for me?
No, as we talked about last night, that's a skill.
True. Well, we talked about.
I haven't opened up my diaphragm enough.
Yeah, I did my vocal warm-ups before I came down to see you. We talked about on the podcast a couple months ago. I asked you if we were Linkin Park, which one of us would be Chester and which one of us would be Mike Shinoda.
Right.
And clearly, I'm Mike Shinoda.
Yes, 100%.
Ooh. Horrifying. Anybody listening out loud, their animals just like had a guttural reaction to that.
Hey, this one's maybe another bit of a layup, but like baseball is too regional.
Oh,
dude,
great one.
Baseball is too there aren't enough superstars that transcend the market.
Great one.
That's crazy because and then people are like the only players that a non-baseball fan would know are Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. Pretty good place to start. Pretty good representation of the state of the game right now.
Also, I'm not totally convinced that NBA players are just fucking Q scoring it up.
Exactly.
With Joe Schmo from Wyoming.
Right.
You're telling me that John from Idaho, I don't know why they're only men. Sally from Idaho is just like, man, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Can't believe he's averaging 31 points per game on solid true shooting this year. Fuck off. Fuck off with that.
I just, again,
Colin Cowherd.
Like, I know, like, we hold the sports too similar of standards.
Completely agree.
I'm kind of like, I don't know, let baseball be baseball. It's okay.
Isn't it fine?
If Sally from Ohio knows Anthony Edwards.
Sally moved to Ohio.
Oh, yes. Yeah. You didn't hear?
I think she has a cousin. It's a family name.
I don't know. Baseball is actually not too regional. If you want to watch the sport, you can just make it the sport, like a non-regional sport.
It's the best because everyone else leaves me alone.
Yeah.
Isn't it okay to have things that are local?
I think so.
Aren't we all like, buy local, bring America back to community? And then when it comes to baseball, it's like everyone has to know the exact same amount about everything at all times. We need the monoculture back.
People are like, well, it gets to the postseason and I don't know who any of these teams are. Why didn't you watch them then?
Actually, number one, exactly, skill issue.
Yes.
Number two, isn't that just a cool opportunity to be like, now I get to see all these new fun players who I don't already have formed opinions about?
Yes.
I wish I could feel this way about basketball, bro. I wish I didn't decide during Jason Tatum's rookie year that I hated him for some reason.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, I hate watching Jason Tatum, one of the best players in the NBA. I don't feel that way about baseball.
Yeah.
I'm just like, there's Jose Ramirez, an excellent player to watch.
I mean, like, you can argue that the league should do almost more to encourage that regionality. I think the sport should be more accessible. You should be able to watch all those games if you want to.
You're saying they should zag?
They should zag, yeah. But the idea that the league should create a unified national product that we can all tune into and be on the same storylines, that's just not as fun to me.
Let the kids do local car dealership ads.
Exactly.
Great one.
Now you see my vision.
I do see the vision. Great one.
Next discourse for you. Off the big board.
Batted ball luck discourse. When did it become par for the course for statistics that are like moderately useful predictors for team talent evaluators to just like talk casually among fans? I want to know less. I want to have less perception of reality. I want to have fewer critical thinking skills.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to being the ball watcher. I want to go back to being the dumb baseball fan. I want to be like, yeah, Matt Harvey should have fucking stayed in that game of the World Series. And the only reason that he gave up the run and the walk and they lost that game was because Terry Collins broke his confidence by coming 100%. Over and saying he was going to take him out.
Mm-hmm.
Without that, the Mets would be hoisting that hunk of metal and I could sleep at night.
Yep.
I want to go back to stuff like that. Batted ball discourse.
Wait, so
being
when
silver,
you say When you say batted ball discourse,
for pitchers and for hitters, like batted ball luck, meaning like, oh, this had a. I don't know if you know this, baseball savant. I went to baseball savant, and this had an expected batting average of 129, but it dropped in for a hit. And in the third inning, Royce Lewis had a liner up the middle that had an expected batting average of 724, and it was caught. Therefore, the Twins should have won this game. That is what I'm talking about. That is like, you should have to pay me $5 if I see that take. And this really solidified itself because this is a huge thing on Braves Twitter, where like the Mets during the 2021 season, the 2022 season, when the Mets and the Braves both won 101 games, and they were neck and neck for the division all season. Mets kind of beat the Braves around a little bit during the regular season that year, up right until the last moment, of course, and they blew it like they always do because they're fucking losers. There were a bunch of games where they like knocked around Spencer Strider, but they did get a lot of like bloop singles. Sorry. 130 years of baseball history. I didn't see fucking Gaylord Perry whining about bloop singles against him. You think Bob Feller was coming out here being like, he didn't get enough of that one, send him home? No, stop. We should not know about expected batting average. And if you do want to cite expected batting average, you should have to like pass a skills course. You know, you should have to like take the driving test, but for advanced analytics.
I agree.
Okay, great.
All that being said, the phrase "got BABIP'd to death" is one of my favorite in all of baseball.
Keep it in your home. I don't care what you do in the privacy of your own home. Say it to your partner.
I don't want to see it.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see you saying he got BABIP'd to death. Sounds like he lost. Sounds like a roundabout way of saying he lost. Save some words.
Great take.
Thank you.
Hit's a hit. Sorry.
Show me in the rule book where it says that he had to hit it above 90 miles per hour for it to count as a hit. All right, what's your next one?
We're cooking now. My third one, and we get this kind of like every year in various forms. Players even acknowledge it. But the whole like Babe Ruth couldn't last a day in this league. Spencer Strider would have struck him out on 3 pitches. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
If you took Babe Ruth as he existed in 1930, I don't actually know when.
Way too late.
Way too late. 1912.
I guess the 1930 was sort of like the latter
Ruth years. Can to baseball podcast host.
All right, you take Babe Ruth in 1925.
All right, 1900.
Let's take him post World War I, but pre World War II.
That's where you want to drop him.
No, I want to drop you there, dog. Let me get the scouting report.
First of all, you take Babe Ruth out of the era he played in and drop him in today's game. He has much bigger issues than whether or not he can hit the fastball.
What do you think Babe Ruth thinks about bespoke AI appliances?
Bro, he's like, they let who play?
Nah, man. You know about the Yankees fans' theories that he's Dominican?
Yes, I know.
He's like, finally, they let us play.
Right. My people. I just like, baseball is so ripe for this because it has such a long documented history that it's easy to like look back and be, you can actually have benchmarks and look back and say, look, Babe Ruth, we have video of Babe Ruth playing baseball, right? And so we can look at that and be like, no way. Look at that swing. Look at that swing plane. That path to the ball is so long. I don't think it was.
I don't agree. I think he had a nice swing plane.
I think, sure, yeah.
Probably should have kept his back foot a little more planted, but it's okay.
I don't know. I like what's the point we're making with this argument?
Yeah.
Just that baseball players are better than they were 100 years ago.
The point that we're making is time passes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I go try and do like donuts in a Model 1 or what was the
Model A?
A Model A. There you go.
Or Model T.
Go try and take that thing 90 on the freeway. Probably not holding up.
Here's the thing. Anytime you want to know about cars, just hit me up.
I should have just consulted you first before making a car reference. Now, Chevrolet built car, absolutely. Any time period you drop it in now, holds
Yeah,
up.
you try driving a Camaro Z28 down the freeway at 90, you're going to be feeling fly.
Yeah, no, I know what that is. That's the one with like the 4 wheels, right?
Yeah.
The big window in the front.
Speaking of 4 wheels and fewer than 4 wheels, you ever see like all of those people who like rent those like 3-wheeled cars and they have like the neon lights underneath them and they're always like blasting with it? Where is that coming from? That feels like a MLM.
Right.
Where do you rent those?
Can I just say, because you said MLM earlier, my like leftist Twitter poisoned brain here's MLM and it's like Marxist, Leninist, Maoist. Obviously.
Describe to me what a Marxist, Leninist, Maoist is, by the way, because that doesn't actually mean anything. Those are 3 different ideologies. That's like the agnostic of the leftist world. That's like the agnostic of the communist world.
I mean, welcome to left Twitter, right? I'm not. We're not doing this.
I'm
We're not
turning
doing
my
this.
membership card back in. I'm turning it back in.
We're still talking about cars, right?
MLM is multi-level marketing scheme.
Yeah.
By the way, for listeners at home, do you want to go and add ML bread and roses into the Twitter bio of Tipping Pitches and see what kind of people it attracts?
Yeah. Well, I think we put MLM in there and just see. Half the people will think it's a pyramid scheme, and the others, I don't know, will yell at us for
being tankies. I guess.
Yes,
I don't really
exactly.
know.
I don't know how that works.
All right, let's.
Do you want to do leftist Twitter discourses we don't care about,
dude? Yes.
Yeah.
That would do numbers among the worst people you've ever met.
All right. Up to your third discourse.
Are you voting for Kamala?
Stop.
My third discourse is
with RFK out. I'm not really sure.
Is it too late to replace JD with RFK on the ticket?
We all thought it was too late for Biden to drop out. So,
so true.
We're smashing historical norms right now.
Become ungovernable.
That's right.
My third discourse is one that briefly came up earlier. When a minuscule war leaderboard fluctuation happens and one guy ducks in front of another guy and everybody rushes to be like, this person leads the league in war. This person is the MVP favorite. This person is the best player in baseball. It's like, I wish that people knew what like error bars were on statistics, like uncertainty. Did people take like science or math courses? I don't mean to be mean because like I know that education is wildly different in different parts of this country, but like number bigger does not mean what you might think it does with a statistic like this. This sort of like goes back to what I was saying about the batted ball luck thing. We exist in the context with which we came from.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the phrase, but that's the way that I've been saying it for the last few weeks.
I'm not going to correct you.
Great.
I definitely know what the full quote is, but
and the listeners do at home, so we don't need to say it.
Good bit.
I see people doing that. And I'm like, okay, look who your new war leaderboard leader is. It's Francisco Lindor. I guess that means the contract was worth it. I mean, and it was, but not because he ducked 0.1 war in front of Shohei Ohtani today. And then he goes 0 for 4 tomorrow. And it's like, okay, back to the natural order of things. I just stop watching it like it's an F1 race when baseball is such a like large sample nuanced sport. People just need to be normal about baseball again.
I agree.
Not that they ever were. You know? I yearn for a past that didn't exist. I'm creating straw men every day and every second.
You're like,
of this
I
podcast.
wish I just fell out of a coconut tree. I
was led to believe by cartoons and video games that getting hit in the head with a coconut would be a much bigger challenge that I would have to avoid in my adult life. So many people were just getting rocked by coconuts, like cartoons, SpongeBob, video games.
Yeah, okay.
Kingdom Hearts starts on an island where there's like coconuts falling out of all the time and they have like star fruit in them and that's what gets you off the island. I'm like, where are all the coconuts?
Where are all the coconuts?
I think that's what.
Okay. All right.
We've lost a bit. Objection.
Objection.
Sustained.
So I do think the one like war leaderboard thing that's kind of interesting, and has become less relevant, sadly, in like the last year or two, is like for years the like Mike Trout all-time WAR leaderboard watch, and it'd be like,
Yeah.
he's like 21st of all time.
Yeah. And he's like 26 years old.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And like again, it's become a little sad. Like that has maybe stagnated a little bit in the last year.
Maybe. That's one way of saying it.
From that perspective, I think it was an interesting way of being like, look at how unique this player is. Like, this is a 26-year-old player who is just from a statistical basis, right? Doesn't even count the eye test or what you're like seeing on the field, is like one of the greatest of all time. But again, even that itself is like more of a vehicle just to like talk about like how great this person is. No one's using it as like, oh, he's in 20th. That changes things.
I don't mean career WAR leaderboards either.
Yes, you're
more so
talking
I'm
about,
even
like-
talking about like season to season.
You're talking about like one season.
It's crazy. Baseball is actually just a really dumb sport to try to understand. Like the hedonism and thinking that we can understand this sport is just ridiculous. But WAR is a useful way to like corral a group of players. Like the top 25 players in WAR are a useful group of 25 players to think of as on par with each other. And then you take a finer tooth comb to other things. Most of the time, it leads you to see that the player who has like 2 more WAR is better at all of those other things. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you change your opinion based on what you personally value or what you think your team might need, or whether or not you think they are providing a service to the team that the other people cannot provide that service to that team, or whether they are being asked to do something different. And you take it all into account. It's not meant to be like a photo finish. He beat him by 0.2 WAR. He is the all-time champion. You know, it's not like Noah Lyles sticking his head out in front of the other racers and winning the 100-meter race, and he gets a gold medal and everyone else gets a silver. That's not how WAR works,
Right.
Really. That's what winning the games is for.
Yes.
I mean, it's just, that's kind of what I mean. It's like, I don't like that discourse that it seems to like cycle through every time a player has like a 4-week hot stretch and is like, now he's pushed himself ahead of X other player on the WAR leaderboard. And by the way, he makes half what this other player makes. And that means that he's so much more valuable to his team. It's just, I think for me, it leads to a lot of the bad faith employment of advanced statistics, which as they exist on their face should be a way of adding nuance and adding appreciation to the game. And then they just get like flushed down the well of all of the other bad faith discourses that we have. That's what I mean. That's my third draft choice.
I love that. Lots of WAR talk.
Right. Okay.
All right, you ready for my last one?
I think so. I think I know what this one is. I think this came up at over breakfast.
It's possible. My last discourse that I'm sick of is just whatever's going on Padres Twitter at any given time. Oh my God. Look, much love to all our Padres fans listeners.
Yeah. All 9 of you.
Padres fan listeners. Padres fan
listeners. I think you had it right the first time.
Okay, great. There's a game going on. Watch the game.
I don't even know what you're referring to, frankly.
I don't even know that I'm referring to anything in particular, but I just see so many like spats, and a lot of it is with like Dodgers fans.
Yeah.
And maybe it just comes by virtue of like being in a relatively competitive division the last year or two. And like the Padres are a pretty
relatively competitive for second and third place.
Well, but
I'm not trying to be mean.
No, but that's my point is, right? Like
Oh.
the Padres are like a pretty good team, and also,
Don't stand a chance.
you are consigned to the dustbin of wildcard spots. But I don't know. You see like there's like Dodger fan attendance discourse.
Oh yeah,
and
I did
like
see this.
and like managerial like discourse. It feels very aggrieved and low key like little brother syndrome.
Ooh.
And I say that as a team who has perpetually had little brother syndrome.
Yeah, you're listening to 2 fans whose teams are little brothers.
Yeah. It's
Unfortunately.
okay. I get it.
I'm a little brother. You're not.
It's true.
You're a big brother. Do you feel like the Dodgers in your brother relationship?
No, I think I am the. No, I feel like it's more like Giants D-backs. Like we give each other space.
You guys exchanged Madison Bumgarner once upon a
yeah,
time.
exactly.
It's all in
friendly
good fun. I thought you were gonna be like, I feel like the Clippers, and my brother is the A's.
I don't even really know how that works.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my fourth one. I just need Padres fans to cool it. Almost said Dodgers fans there.
Dodgers fans honestly should cool it a little bit too online.
Yeah,
Certain subsection of every fan base,
Yeah.
but Dodgers fans in particular, that are just like obsessed with being like lol Padres. It's like, okay, guys.
Yeah. All right.
It's almost bordering
Hang
on
the banner.
Yeah. Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse. Okay.
You got one more.
My fourth.
Bring
and
us
final.
home. Uh-oh.
Every single team goes through this at least once a year, whether it's on a large scale or a small scale. Like it's just one local radio segment. Team X that just lost this game looks too happy after the game.
Oh, good one.
Thank you. What would you have them do? You want them to... They're not thespians.
Perform sadness for me.
You don't want to see their performance of sadness. You don't want that. It's not going to be entertaining.
No.
They're not Joaquin... There's not a bunch of Joaquin Phoenixes walking around in Major League Baseball clubhouses. They're just a bunch of guys. They can't fake it.
Yeah.
They can't. They can't fake being interesting in interviews. We've got decades of evidence of that. They can't fake being happy and they can't fake being sad. So just let them be. Just let them exist. Nobody comes to your job and is like, hey, man, you didn't get enough cells in that spreadsheet filled out today.
Yeah, you're
Time
enjoying
to
that
mope out
lunch
of
a
the
little
office
too much.
today. Okay?
Mhm.
Maybe you would like some people to come to your job and do that to you because you're weird and you've been defeated by capitalism. But like, we just don't. It's a sport. It's dumb. They're wearing tight pants and high socks. Like, it's just, they wear hats all day.
Yeah, right.
Hats.
They wear hats to their workplace. It's a part of the dress code.
What are we talking about here?
This is a great one. This happened with the Mets this year, right?
Yeah,
when
man.
there was that Instagram story of them like on a bus ride, I think, after they'd just come off a tough stretch or whatever.
Yeah.
And people are like,
They're playing Candelita's new song. They're playing Jose Iglesias' new
right,
song.
and
on
they're
the
like,
bus.
this is not what winning teams do.
It actually is what
Actually,
winning teams
yeah.
do. It actually is. It's also what losing teams do. It's what all the teams do.
Also, frankly, you are told from when you're like 6 years old playing Little League,
Keep your
flush
head
it.
up.
Hey,
Keep your head up.
on to the next play.
Right.
You know, as to your point, it would be far less enjoyable if they were coming out there every day being like, not feeling good about this one.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much performative anger that you can sustain about losing 1 out of 162 games. Now, should the White Sox have been playing Party Rock Anthem after losing their 20th straight game? Maybe. I could see being annoyed by that as a fan, but that speaks to larger organizational dysfunction.
Right.
If it's like you drop 2 of 3 on the road against the Giants, I don't give a fuck what you play in the bus on the way home. I don't care.
Yeah.
As long as I can go see the game and eat a hot dog, I'm good. You guys go with God.
Frankly, the White Sox may be more deserving than any team to play Party Rock Anthem right now. I don't know what else is keeping the players around.
In this bit, Party Rock Anthem is a reason for free agents to want to come to the White Sox.
They're like, I don't really know about that team, but they bump LMFAO.
Yeah. It's just everybody had that kid on their little league team or a couple kids. Oftentimes, it's not even the kid's fault. They're probably the coach's son or whatever. And they treated every at bat like it was life or death. And they would come back after striking out and they would slam their bat and they would slam their helmet and they would go and they would sulk in the corner of the dugout. And sometimes it would get really sad because they would like sit there and they would cry out of frustration. And you'd be like, what the fuck is going on at home that you feel like you need to perform this level of frustration and sadness about striking out in a little league game? And I'm like, a bunch of people who have 4-hour-long sports talk radio segments want 32-year-old men to act like that after every game that they lose.
Mhm.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Also, like,
Is that going to make it more fun to watch baseball?
I think a lot of them get pretty frustrated. I'm not going to lie.
I agree. I agree.
Come on.
Yeah. No.
But
I
what?
agree.
You're mad about what they're doing on the weekend?
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby, guess what? You are not defined by your job.
I have 3 concepts for these people who are getting mad about this.
Okay.
Number 1, life. Number 2, liberty. Number 3, the pursuit of happiness.
Bang.
What say you, sir?
Bang.
Are baseball players not entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? All right. That was our discourse draft. I had fun with it. I hope everybody at home had fun with it. Thank you to everybody for listening. Next couple of weeks, we are going to... Oh boy, how do I explain this one? We're going to have a special themed 2-part episode over the next 2 Mondays on the normal feed. It's going to be a little different than a lot of our other episodes. That's all I will say. But Alex is going to be traveling out of the country, so we will not be doing really live and timely episodes like we usually do. We just won't be able to do that for you guys. So we cooked up something fun. We're going to have a guest, a friend of the show on the second part of that as well. And then for those of you who are listening, who are patrons, the next Patreon episode is a little bit up in the air because it will fall right smack in the middle of Alex's trip. So we will either figure out something to run as bonus content on the feed, or we will just come back kind of like off cycle following, and we'll make up for it. I promise.
I'm giving Bobby full reign to use Grok to play my part.
Be careful. I'll do it. You want to see if I could get Stevie to come on and try to bark your part?
Ooh, there you go.
That's
Wait, are you? Oh no, you're not verified anymore, are you? I was going to say, or are you?
No, I'm not verified.
They
They handed
shut
out
that down quickly.
They handed out select verifications for people who have like 10,000 verified followers,
Something
or something
like that. Yeah,
I don't have that many followers.
I was going to say you might already have Grok.
No, I don't have Grok.
Okay, well,
I only have 20,000 followers, and I'm a man of the people, so most of them are not verified.
you can expense it if need be.
Okay. So things I'm expensing while you're in Italy.
Soundboard.
Soundboard, Grok, a Model T.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anything else? I'll think of something.
Yeah.
I'll probably get a new microphone while you're gone too, just for fun.
Okay, good.
Thanks to everybody for listening. Thanks again to Steve Sladkowski of Pup for writing us new music. Honestly, I'm sticking this at the end of the episode so we don't seem super lame in case Steve listens to this and just to hear what the music sounds like in the intro. But really cool, like full circle moment for you and I, who are just really, 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 really big fans of Pup and also like the entire music genre and community that Pup occupies as a band, to just be able to just like send a friend an email and be like, hey, we want a new song. Would you be interested in doing this? And he just says yes and then does it. Cool moment. Cool moment for the pod. We've come a long way.
Yeah, super grateful to Steve. And grateful to Booker T as well. I want to say, served us so well.
Yeah, he held it down. He didn't know it, but he held it down.
He held it down. Green onions.
Thank you for all you've done for us.
Exactly. Thank you for your service.
Now I'm going to thank Steve in the outro of every single podcast. So if you want to be thanked in the outro of every single podcast, all you have to do is make a really important primary contribution to the sound of the show. So if you're listening at home,
someone's working on the soundboard right now.
A manually built soundboard, 3D printed soundboard.
Oh my God.
Now we're talking. Okay. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back next week.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Rodriguez. Tipping pitches.
Tipping pitches.
This is the one that I love the most.
Tipping pitches.
So we'll see you next week. See ya!